Everyone, I'm Jeannie Ralston and the founder of Next Tribe, and I'm so happy that you're here. And this is Paris has become one of our most popular trips because of, of many reasons. It's such a great place, but two, Ellen Williams, who has been a friend of mine for quite a while, I'm lucky to say. And she knows, I remember her telling me, I know Paris like the back of my hand. And she surely does. She knows Paris better than anyone I've ever met. And more than that, she loves sharing Paris with everyone. So it's not just, she knows Paris and it's just her own little secret. She wants everybody to know it about it and to feel the way she does about it. So Ellen's a writer and been an editor. She's had all kinds of fabulous moments in her career and life. And Ellen, please introduce yourself and I would say hi and tell us your story. Let's start with your story of how you fell in love with Paris. And I love that story about you.
Hi, I'm Ellen, and I would be thrilled to have as many of you as possible join us in Paris because it is, apart from everything else, it is so much fun. It is such a fun trip and beautiful and fabulous food and all the rest of it, but it's fun. My personal Paris story began in my 20s. I went there like, so many people do. And I had been an art history student. So, did a lot of the museums and, all of that kind of stuff. And I just kind of knew, even while I was still there, that this wasn't really Paris that I was seeing, this sort of trotting around all of these monuments.
Sorry.
That wasn't the Paris that poets and writers extol. It just didn't seem like I had scratched the surface. And so I thought, all right, this is I like it here enough, and I feel like I haven't gotten there yet, that was what I was going to sort of devote myself to do. And the more I went back, the more addicted I became, and the more knowledgeable and the more comfortable, and cracking the various codes and whatnot. And this trip is really kind of the end of 40 years of doing that and recognizing that any of us can go to Paris and do that thing that I did in my 20s because it's super easy and millions of people do it every day. But not everybody can go to all of the gorgeous little inspiring backwaters that we're going to see. And my personal belief is there's nothing wrong with all of those monuments and whatnot, but A, you don't need me to take you there. And B, you're basically going and seeing something that you already know what it looks like. There's not much point in going to someplace that's crowded, just jammed with other foreigners to look at something that you already know what it looks like. So instead, what we do is go to these beautiful little streets and markets and parks, and we're all together too. And that's the other piece of it, is that we're all experiencing it together. And I don't know what more I can say as an introduction than it's it's enriching and it's fun, and there are not too many things that you can say that about in life, I think.
Yeah. So let me, on that note, we're going to show you, we put together some pictures from, I can't remember how many times we've done this trip, maybe 5 or 6 times. I can't really remember. And we have like a whole, now we have the alumni, the Paris alumni that go on so many of our other trips because they've had such a wonderful first experience with Ellen and Paris. So I'm going to show you, many of them are in these photos. Most of the photos you see were taken, almost all of them were taken on our trips. So let me just, I have to just do, you have to live, bear with me a minute. This is the hardest thing I do on these things, is switch from onto share my screen. Oh, there we go. I did it. Not too much trauma. So anyway, this is what we put together for you, just the colors, the beauty of Paris, in all of everything we do in during the trip and in these photos. So as you just met Ellen and
Jeannie, just back up for one
oh yeah.
second to the photo before. I just want you all to see those three women in the middle there. These women had never met before. And there is this kind of real accelerated, not false, but accelerated closeness because we're all on this sort of quest and this adventure together. And there are very genuine but accelerated connections that happen. And I mean, I would be happy to go anywhere with any of these women because they're curious and they're fun and smart and funny and all of that. So okay, now you can
No, and that's a good point because that happens on all of our yes, all the trips. There's just a very fast bonding because when you think about it, we're all in the same age, stage of life. We've all gone through some tough times. We've come through, or we're working our way through. So there's so much bonding, and the fact that we've chosen to go on these trips means we're still looking and to explore and to experience. So right there, it's a self-selected group of great women who have a very similar attitude. So thanks for bringing that up. And there's our beautiful Ellen in a
there's the,
contemplative pose.
yeah.
And
Okay.
here,
So this, excuse me, this is the hotel which we love. This little garden thing that you see there, that kind of almost becomes sort of the Next Tribe Central on this trip because almost every afternoon, one or two groups will gather down there and have wine and talk about the day. And you can see the rooms are just sweet and lovely and not at all fussy. The staff could not be nicer, helpful. The breakfast room is a pleasure. Everything is delicious. They bring out the cappuccinos like that. So I cannot say enough good things. And the location is fantastic.
and what I know you love about it too is that is in the Saint-Germain region or neighborhood, but it's off the main street. And
Yes.
when we first started going there, we stayed at another lovely hotel, but it was right on the main street. And this one, everybody just is over the moon about. So you'll love the hotel. And so, yeah, first day, it's just like, yeah. I think this photo of Michelle Martel here in the Luxembourg Gardens kind of expresses that feeling that so many have when you first land. It's like, I'm here.
And you know what else? I mean, obviously she's posing for a photograph, but there's also something I realize in looking at this photo about being in a group that you're a little bit more free to just sort of exalt in the place than you would be if you were by yourself. You would look like a lunatic doing this by yourself.
Twirling around.
But there is, there is this kind of just group, we're all together. And, I remember the first day, this last trip, which was in October, we were walking out. So it was the second full day. And one of the women felt a little bit dizzy, jet lag probably. And there was a little, sort of ledge there. And she sat down and she had, 14 mothers basically around her saying, are you okay? Do you want water? Do you want this, that, the other? And again, these are people who 24 hours earlier were strangers. So, there is a very nice, tribe, I guess, if you will, sort of feeling to these that I think makes the enjoyment even more vivid. So.
Mhm. So tell us about the Rue du Bac.
Okay, so this is a 5-minute walk from the hotel, and it is the kind of perfect introduction to our first day. We meet in the hotel, we have lunch the first day, and then we set out for the Rue du Bac. And it's like a picture postcard street, left bank street, just you know, chic and yet relaxed and, you know, sort of effortlessly stylish, and pretty much one great shop after another. Food shops. You can see here, this is Lori tucking into what is my absolute favorite Paris pastry. And this is a pastry shop that is very unusually run by a woman. So that is a rhubarb turnover there, which is spectacular. The other top shot there is a group of us in a more than century-old Armagnac shop. And Armagnac is kind of like a brandy from a special area of France. And they welcome us in. You know, you can buy little tiny bottles to bring back to people. And the bottom photo is actually not the Rue du Bac, but it is.
Oh, I
I'll
thought that
just
was
tell
the
you.
ice cream place.
No, and the ice cream, no, this is, I'll just tell you now, we'll get to it in a second. This is on the Rue Montorgueil, which is kind of like the Rue du Bac, but it's on the right bank and it's in the Les Halles neighborhood. And what we're all nibbling on there is a pastry with an almost impronounceable name called a quignaman, which there is a specialty of the pastry shop there. And that pastry shop is distinguished by the fact that it is the oldest pastry shop in France.
Wow.
The founder of it was the pastry chef to King Louis XV.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. I don't know if I went there with you when I went.
I don't think you
Again,
did.
my fault for putting that, but I thought that was on.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So the Rue du Bac though has got all kinds of things. It has for some reason I thought they were eating ice cream. Anyway, but it's fabulous.
Yeah, and there's two other things I'm going to tell you about the Rue du Bac tour. Up at the top of the street is a chocolate shop that has a chocolate mousse bar. So there's 6 different chocolate mousse recipes, all single origin. You know, this is the you know, creme de la creme of French chocolate. And we stop in there and many people get a little cone, little paper cone of chocolate mousse to go. And on this last trip, the first woman got hers and she sort of started eating it while the next person was ordering, and she just was saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," kind of like Lori is in this photo with and without missing a beat, one of the other women said, "I'll have what she's having."
Yeah.
Great. So that's one thing.
And just to make when you say a chocolate mousse bar, not a candy bar, you meant like you have to choose different.
Right. In other words, it's sort of like a salad bar, but you know, and the shopkeeper picks you. You pick which one you want. They advise you about which are fruitier and which are, you know, stronger and more delicate and whatnot. But it would be, without any hesitation, I could say it would be the best chocolate mousse you ever had in your life. And then at the end of the street is the Bon Marché department store, which is the oldest department store in Paris and certainly the chicest. It's the only department store on the left bank. It is not mobbed with tourists. And they have a gourmet grocery shop section, which is phenomenal. And you can bring back, one of the things that lots of the women on our trips bring back is the fabulous butter, which they shrink wrap for you so that you can just throw it in your checked bag. And so the Rue du Bac is a really wonderful very first day. We're outside, we're in the fresh air, we're getting snacks, we're seeing our neighborhood. And that's the first day. Excuse me. The second day, we go to the Les Halles area, which is for 8 centuries. I mean, 8 centuries. This was the central market of Paris, where, you know, food would come in from the provinces, the fish from the Mediterranean, from the Atlantic. The farmers would converge on this area before dawn, and then from all over the city, the restaurant people, the housewives, the kitchen maids would descend and, you know, buy everything for their kitchens. the market moved out of the city in the 1970s, and there's a very large, very modern shopping area took its place. But around that is still really the remnants of the history of gourmet Paris, excuse me. So there are, 100-year-old cook shops there. We can go to Julia Child's favorite cookware shop, which is just like a museum of fabulous copper cookware. There are wonderful spice stores there. It's really, this is sort of our culinary history day, if you will. And we have lunch in a darling little place that has tile murals of the activity of the market itself. It's, was a working class, bar back in the day, and now it's just a charming little restaurant. And then in the afternoon, we walk nearby to the Palais Royal, which is a beautiful, formerly royal garden, smack dab in the middle of Paris, but it's just this exquisite, quiet oasis. There's a fountain there. There are, people with their little dogs and children running, and there's this very photographable monument that you see up here from the 1980s that brings a kind of a modern contemporary element into this very historic, beautiful garden. From there, we visit a couple of the covered passages that are sort of like the earliest shopping malls of the world. They were made back in the mid 19th century to get well-to-do shoppers out of the elements. Very, very, very beautiful. And we go into the National Library. Excuse me. I guess that's all I need to say about that day. It's that's a very good day. Okay, this is the Marché President Wilson, and lest you think that we're going to take you to a farmer's market or something, it's like, this is in one of the poshest parts of town. This would be the market that people go to, again, for their weekly or, it's bi-weekly shopping. And yes, there are these wonderful flower merchants and beautiful cheeses and fishmongers and butchers and whatnot, but there are also several merchants selling, paper, feather light pashminas and salad bowls that are carved out of olive wood from Provence, and a couple of guys who have, your basic housewares. So I got, fantastic pepper mills there that would have cost a fortune. They were €5 or something. It's really like mainlining France to walk through this this market. And we do this on Saturday mornings, and then we have lunch at a cafe just at the end of the market. And then we go to the Dior Gallery, which was set up, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, by Dior. It's walking distance from the cafe where we have lunch. And even if you're not a fashionista, the couture gowns, just decades and decades of beautiful Dior creations are breathtaking. It is a terrific, it just makes you realize that something exquisitely created by a genius is worth looking at, whether it's a painting or a dress or a sculpture or a building. And it's a lot of fun. That night we go on a Seine cruise. So this is a cocktail cruise, which is to say that everybody gets a glass of wine, and we typically bring along a couple of bottles of our own to supplement. There's no audio tour. There's nobody saying in 16 languages. There's Notre Dame, there's the Eiffel Tower. So we just glide along. There's music. Last May, a whole bunch of our group was dancing in the front of the boat here, just having a terrific time. And the boat goes all along the Seine. It's about an hour cruise, goes up to the Eiffel Tower, turns around, comes back. And as I said, you see the Louvre, and what's nice about this is it's a very easy, relaxed way to see a lot of the major monuments that we're not going to be focusing on because we're too busy doing other things. So
Yeah, I remember how much fun that was. It was just, it's truly exhilarating.
yeah.
And as you say, to see it, to be there with other women who become your friends and the dancing, and of course, I'll dance at a drop of a hat. So I was,
I want to point out too, the woman here with the white sweater,
yes.
it's Delsey. Everything that she's wearing there, she got at the Marché President Wilson that morning. This woman was in heaven at that market, so much in heaven that she went back by herself. The next, she probably even got those earrings there, would be my guess.
I know I got leather goods like belts and things and some linen,
Oh yeah, fabulous, French, kitchen towels, a really good place to get the souvenirs for your dog walker, for your, just really, great, reasonably priced stuff.
So I wanted to just read this from this was from Elise Shapiro, who went, and this kind of confirms what you were saying, or echoes what you were saying, that we landed in Paris as strangers, but concluded the trip as friends. It is hard to explain how well the group coalesced. We enjoyed learning about each other, sharing experiences, and looked out for each other. I have high hopes we stay in touch, and they do. I have been to Paris many times as a child, as a tourist, as a honeymooner, for work, as a widow. Experiencing this trip with a lovely group was really at the top of the list. I love what Elise said. And so I wanted to make sure that we heard that from not just Ellen and me, but from somebody who's traveled on that trip. So okay.
Okay, this is the Canal Saint-Martin, which is often a non sort of touristy part of town. This is the kind of place that this is an early 19th century canal that brought fresh water under Napoleon into the city. There are these graceful footbridges that go over it. Ships do transit the canal and the locks part, and the ship pulls in, and I mean, they're boats, and the water fills up, and it's lined now with, after much of its life being a kind of a, semi, I don't want to say industrial, but just a part of town that Parisians didn't pay much attention to. In the last decade or so, it's become very rejuvenated. So there are wonderful cafes and shops all along. And there's one bar that I have as yet been successful getting the group to for various reasons, but it's a hard cider bar where you go in and you can have flights of cider. So that's one thing I would like to try to finally do on this September trip.
Yes, I love that spot. And isn't it that the background for the movie Amelie?
Well, there's a scene in the beginning where she's skipping stones in the canal.
Okay. And I just wanted to talk about it. You mentioned some of the restaurants and stuff, but all the restaurants that you pick are just, top of the line. They're not the typical tourist spots. They sizzle. So I wanted to make sure. And we start out the first night with a souffle restaurant that down here on the lower left, which I just love. It's such a great.
Yeah, the souffle restaurant is for a lot of people, souffles are just not something that a lot of American restaurants do, and it's certainly not something that your average cook is going to make. So for a number of the people, this is really the first time they had souffle. So it's very most people have, a main course souffle. We get a whole bunch of appetizers for the table, and then we get tons of dessert souffles, chocolate and raspberry and vanilla and Grand Marnier and by then this is the dinner of the first night. It's walking distance from the hotel, which is very nice because everybody's tired, and the group really comes together at this place, I think.
And then just a lot of fun other, like the one up here with you and Lucy and the waiter, that was Josephine Baker's favorite hangout,
Yeah.
right? So there's just, a lot of these places we go have some great history that, of course, Ellen will know. And I just wanted, of course, the food is going to be just extraordinary. And I took this picture of the French onion soup because I remember you talking about it, Ellen. Like you chose a place. What isn't it the La Hall place that has the French onion?
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
so
famous. The French onion soup has been their signature item since 1947 when they opened, and you're
yeah.
not going to find better French onion soup than Paris.
And
And
then
you can
just all
see
the other,
here, there's we've got trays and trays of fresh oysters on the table up there.
yeah, it's of course tremendous, but and you can get steak frites if you want. But I remember when I would go to Paris, I would just end up eating before I went with Ellen. I would just end up eating a lot of steak frites because I didn't know what restaurant to go to, and they all so I ended up at the steak frite restaurants. But there's just so much here to enjoy. Okay,
Okay, so this is Port de Vanves. This is my absolute singular favorite thing to do in Paris. There is the big flea market at the top of Paris, and we don't go there for a number of reasons. One thing, it's huge. It would be impossible to keep a group together. And it's also, people are there buying mantelpieces and armoires and things that none of us are going to buy. The Port de Vanves flea market is much more intimate. It's much more objects. And I think what we're looking at there with those little masks is something that Janie bought on
I
one of.
bought them, and that's why I chose this picture is because I bought them, carried them back, and just they were, they're breakable, but now they're on my wall, and I just love them. I think of this trip every time I see them. So yes,
Anyhow, the Port de Vanves is, we're there for, enough time for everybody to wander, and almost everybody buys something. And for instance, one of the things, I actually have a picture of Jeannie and hers. You've probably all seen them, the French chore jackets, the heavy blue cotton, and they've become very, very chic, but they're vintage. They're what the workmen really worked in. And I think this last time, I think 5 of the women bought them. I mean, they're great jackets to, it's just like a super comfortable, gorgeous blue cotton jacket that you'll probably wear forever.
I know
And
I should but while we're on this, I should go get mine. I found it.
oh,
So
good.
I've moved a lot. And I didn't know where it was, but now I found it.
And then I was going to say, down at the bottom there is just 3 of the women are stopping at the snack truck at the Port de Vanves, which has, in my opinion, among the best fries that I
Oh yes, I do. I remember that. Yeah, we all got
see how
fries.
happy they look.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Marais and the Place des Vosges on the right there. Actually, they're both Place des Vosges. That's under the arcades. So one of the days we go to the Place des Vosges, which is one of the oldest, most historic, most popular parts of Paris. It is loaded not just with boutiques, but also the Paris History Museum is there. Lots of good restaurants, but also for anybody who really is interested in clothes shopping, which I tend to not do because I'm very petite and I can't really buy clothes off the rack. But there are a number of outlet shops of the places that Cézanne and a lot of places that are not important to me, but I make it my business to know where they are. And a lot of the women on the trips want to do that kind of shopping. They want to do vintage shopping, resale, and outlets. And so, and here's the thing too, to understand about these trips, we're not joined at the hip. Because of the miracle of having a computer and a map and being able to drop pins and whatnot, somebody can say, I'm going to go down there and hit those 3 shops and I'll meet you all at the cafe in 45 minutes, or I'll meet you back at the hotel, or I'll meet you at lunch, or whatever. There's a lot of freedom to go and do something that you might want to do that the group doesn't. And I will always find a way to get you there and get you back to the group so that you don't feel rushed or whatever.
I do, yeah, I want to make sure people understand that we, and in all our trips, we try to build in that kind of freedom and flexibility. It's especially important, but also especially tricky in Paris, but Ellen handles it beautifully. Get, people what they want to, she'll find out before you go what you want to, what are the most important things you kind of want to see and do, and make sure even if they're not on her agenda, that she finds a way to help you get to do that. And I think that's really so lovely of you, and it's above and beyond, but
That's where the fun is. That really is
Oh.
where the fun is for me, is making sure everybody gets to do the thing that they really want to do. And
That's beautiful. And so, yeah, which I'm talking about shopping too. So that's me. I just had to go because I found this bag that said love, live, travel. Of course, I had to get that. But again, what we're just talking about, I remember you saying something, somebody wanted to find something like certain kind of knives and you got them there to get the knives they wanted, and it's it's just amazing what you do, and your knowledge of all where these shops are, where to find the best of this or the best of that. It's just amazing. So kudos to you.
there will be shopping. I mean,
Yeah.
and here's the other thing too. We have had, not really on this last trip, but on the previous 3 trips, there were people who were not really big into shopping, although one of them did buy a lot. And so everywhere we go, there's a cafe where you could sit, or a museum that you can go through, or whatnot, and we will pick you up, we will meet you later, we will whatever. But this last trip was October, and I think it was close enough to the holidays that even the people who weren't, really born to shop people were buying holiday gifts and souvenirs and whatnot. And it's not like we go into one of these places for 3 hours. It's like we are very efficient. We are in and out. And the other thing that I will show you, for those of you who don't know, also the phone, you take a picture of something you see either in a shop window if the shop is closed, or if we can't stop or whatnot, and Google will find your way back to that shop. And so again, if we'll make sure you get back there, or you can meet up with us in 20 minutes or whatever. So lots of flexibility.
Oh, here's another thing I wanted to read. This is from Delcy, who you mentioned before in the picture, who she bought everything from the Marche, President Wilson. This trip was everything and more I'd hoped for. I wanted to leave the trip not just having seen Paris, but really experiencing it. Even though I know there's still much to discover, I feel like I got a really good feel for all the different arrondissements, the transportation system, the culture, etc. Ellen really tuned into making sure she knew what everyone was hoping to do and see, and making sure we accomplished those goals. Can I just say fun? We had so much fun. Walking the streets of Paris with someone who knows it inside and out and generally loves the city was the best. And I came home with 12 new friends from all over the country. What a blessing. That was Delcy from Arizona. So
And let me just say too, these 2 women pictured here, I adored these women. I mean, they were just loved everything about them. So
and these two, they didn't know each other before, did
no,
they?
these two are sisters-in-law.
Oh, okay. Well, then that
So on 3 trips. We had 3 sisters on one trip, these 2 sisters-in-law on this trip, and then we had 2 sisters on this last trip.
Oh, I love that. Okay, chocolate.
Okay, so I hate this photo more than anything because I can't think of a less, but this chocolate shop where we go and have this little chocolate making class has been in business since 1819 and it's still there. It's still there. The chocolate is delicious. And we make, I think, 3 different things. They give us a little talk about chocolate beans and tell you stuff you sort of didn't know. Then we go in, we make these things, and you get to keep everything you make. And then, of course, there's shopping in the shop. This shop is notable for just whimsical, beautiful packaging, just beautiful, beautiful packaging. And
Well, I think you look adorable. And this is when you get to do the Lucy and Ethel chocolate thing, right?
Yeah.
And this is something too that you've added, and I didn't do this, but that you have people love this wine and cheese tasting that you do.
Yeah, this is in the Latin Quarter, and it's, I don't know a lot about wine and I don't know a lot about cheese, but I really like cheese. And we have, I think, 3 whites and 3 reds, and cheese is matched with each of them. And, the most delicious, sliced up baguettes there. And this charming guy, tells us about what we're drinking, what we're eating. And somebody this last time bought a case of wine from him. I'm not quite sure how they got it home, but
A lot
it's
of, yeah, a
it's
lot of the
really
places ship, right? I'm
delicious.
sure they shipped it, but that's of course, because you can't, how can you be in Paris and not really get to know some of the wine and cheese there? And I just love the Luxembourg Gardens.
Let me just say about the wine and cheese tasting and that thing that I mentioned about the cider. This last time we had, I think, 3 people who didn't drink. And so they didn't go to the wine and cheese tasting. They went and did something else. So, there's no enforced drinking there either. There were just, plenty of people who weren't drinking. And so that just said, if you're not a drinker, not to worry.
Good.
So this is the Luxembourg Gardens, which is, again, one of the sort of crown jewels of the left bank. If you read the Madeline books when you were little or read them to your little girl, there's scenes of the Luxembourg Gardens. There are statues of all the queens of France around. So it's a very nice walkthrough. This is one of the, we do this in the morning, and the gardens are largely, pretty serene and open and empty, and it's a very nice outing. Excuse me.
And that's our farewell. I should say that, and we haven't really talked about this, but we're at a bus stop here. And one of the things that you'll learn, and I hope you appreciate it as much as I did, is Ellen takes you on buses and on the metro. She's completely at ease in the system, and you will be too, and it's such a great way to feel like you live there versus, being in the tourist areas or the tourist ways. You really get to experience that kind of part of life. So we're here this trip, I forget where we're heading, but we're all excited.
We were going to the flea market here, and I'll just tell you because this last trip, we were there on the Sunday morning going to the flea market, and the sign after a while said that something had happened and the bus line wasn't coming. So we have everybody before the trip download this G7 app, which works just like Uber. You put in your credit card and how much you like to tip, and it's seamless. You can just call a car. And what's really good about this too is Ubers cannot use the taxi lanes in Paris, whereas G7, which is the taxi company, can. So if you're coming in from the airport, you're going to zip past a lot of the traffic and whatnot. So this particular Sunday morning, there we were, the bus wasn't coming. And maybe 4 or 5 of the women whipped out their apps. Everybody called cabs. We got to the flea market. We all just met when we got to the flea market, and everybody got reimbursed for the cabs that they had called. It just was boom, boom, boom. There was a slight snag, and off we were, within 5 minutes. Everybody was in a car and off going where we had to go. So understand that even though going by the bus is a terrific way to get around the city, that if for some reason the bus isn't coming or whatnot, we will just move on and get there in cabs.
And I just wanted to end the presentation with just a few photos to kind of just that for me kind of capture some of the magic and beauty of the city, just so you can just picture yourself there. And I love this. The Notre Dame is open again, yes?
Yep.
So that's something to celebrate. This is just sunset over the Seine. I love this picture.
Yep.
And this is from one of our trips from Wani, and this picture and the next one I love because it's that feeling of like you said, putting your arms out, and there's so many pictures with people doing this kind of thing, but this is in the Rodin Garden, I think.
Yeah.
Just feeling elated. And my favorite picture from all of the Next Sharp trips is this one. I mean, look at
Yeah.
that. That's on this same cruise. But
Yeah. See, she's got her wine there.
what's that? Oh, yes,
Got
she
her
does.
wine.
But I mean, I look at that and I get chills because it's like, that's how I feel the times I've been with you. It's like, gosh, it's all at my footstep, at my feet. And again, it's like really getting to know the city. Like now I feel like I could go back on my own and kind of go to parts of the city that are more, residential or more where the locals go and away from the big crowds. So I feel like I got so much out of this with going with you, Ellen, and I think everybody who's been on this trip does. So there
And I
you
would say, so this was Erica, and she had a very big Divisible by 10 birthday on this trip that we celebrated. And I realized then that we have had a birthday on each of the last 4 trips. We've had somebody has come and we've celebrated. We had cake back at the hotel after dinner that night and champagne, and it was so nice.
Yes, it is. We end up on a lot of Next Tribe trips. We have birthdays, and so we definitely mark them and want to take care of you on your birthday. Okay, so hold on. Are we back in where everybody can see? Ellen? Okay, good. So I wanted to now open it up for questions. You can write it in the chat, or just raise your hand or unmute yourself if you have a question. It's a great time to talk to Ellen because she, as I said, she knows everything. Or if she doesn't know it, then we'll look it up. Any questions? There's Joe Martin. I saw you last night, Joe. Any other questions? Okay, there's Bren. Sorry, I thought that. And oh yeah, let me introduce Bren. Bren, can you unmute yourself and just say hi? She works for us. She and Marcy work on customer relations and helping you with plans and everybody to feel comfortable.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all out there. I did post in the chat my email as well as our travel manager, Marcy's email. If after, you digest all this amazing information and photos that you have other questions on the trip, please feel free to reach out to one of us. We'd be happy to help you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'll say one of the things that these ladies do is once everybody has signed up and puts in their flight information, they arranged for, cab sharing in from the airport last time, and then we arranged for, we took everybody's flights back and arranged for people to share vans or cars back to the airport. So there's, even from before you get to the hotel until after you leave, we're still looking after you and making sure everybody gets on their way safely. And
Fabulous. So, any questions? If not, oh, there's Melissa. Hey, Melissa, I know you were signed up before for when we had it in the spring. That's great to see you. I'm writing everybody's name down because we have a drawing. That's what we're going to do next is have a drawing for a discount for the trip. But let me see. I ran out of paper. Hold on. Excuse me. And if you want to extend your stay, can we do that through y'all? That's Vicky. Hi, Vicky Triplet. Lovely Vicky. Bren, can you answer that? Or I think we can.
well, I want to make the observation that one thing, it's probably, if you want to extend, if you want to come a day or even a couple of days early, I'm happy to help you, make a little plan for what you want to do. And that way there's no, worry about missing the first day if there's a delay or being jet lagged or whatever. But also staying after is another way that I can help you plan what you would do with your time. Or you could split the difference and come in 2 days early and stay 2 days after. But you could either stay at the hotel or move to a different neighborhood if that's what you wanted. But we're happy to sort of help you plan that too.
We're not travel age. I mean, but so we can't, we can't do bookings for you and that kind of thing.
Right.
But we can give you advice or just some ideas. So we will do what we can. So let me see. I want to make sure I've got everybody's name. Tell me if I've got Celia. I've got Melissa here. I've got Colleen. I'm putting them in the bowl. I've got Karen. I've got Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. I've got Joe Martin. I put Joe Martin because yesterday there were 2 Joes. So I really just put it again. Sandy, Vicky, Nan, and Lisa. Did I forget anybody? Did anybody's name not get called? Okay. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, somebody. La 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 la. Doo doo doo. Mixing up, mixing up. Am I on camera so you can see that I am? Oh, Vicky. Vicky Triplet. Vicky, where are you? Unmute yourself. There you are. Vicky. Oh, I'm so happy you won. I'm so happy because Vicky, I mean, I'd be happy for anybody to win, but Vicky was supposed to go with us to Portugal last September, and she ended up with a problem, a medical issue that she couldn't go, and it was like a week before. We still can't believe
Yeah.
it. So, Vicky, I hope you'll be on this trip. I know that Paul is signed up already.
Yep.
That's really
Yep.
cool.
So we've already had that discussion.
Ah, okay. I love that. We love meeting Paula. And I know, Melissa, you saw, and yes, there are plans to do a spring trip. There was just some extenuating circumstances. We couldn't do this in the spring this year. So we ended up moving it to September, but so many people want to go to Paris, and as I've said, Ellen has so much to offer and give, and she's just so willing to keep doing it because so as long as she wants to keep doing it, then we will definitely do it. So, and there's one question: how many days do you recommend to see all the bigs? She's never been to Paris, so like if she was going to go the Louvre and Musée d'Orsay and Eiffel Tower, all that, how much time do you think she would need?
I'm gonna get up on my soapbox for half a minute here about museums, which is museums are fabulous. There's absolutely no question about that. But if you are not somebody who has a museum habit at home, why would you spend your precious time in Paris looking at old masters when it's just not part of your habit? I mean, I understand that they're fabulous. I was an art history major. I understand it, but if you're not going to museums here, why spend this precious, precious time looking, maybe, I don't know, this, as I said, this is my soapbox, because I think when you're in Paris, you should be seeing Paris and not looking at paintings. I mean, it's, again, this is a crazy thing for an art history person to be seeing.
I know, really.
But how many days? I would say 3 days, maybe, beyond what we're gonna do. And again, I'm thinking if you do it afterwards, you'll know your way around better. You'll have a sense of, but that's entirely up to you.
Well, I may actually stay over a whole nother week, because if I'm already over there,
You will get no argument from me, and we will plan every day of that week for you. Yeah, I have a thing about monuments too, which is, it's
Yeah.
a thing like the Arc de Triomphe. It is a beautiful thing. We will look at it when we zip by in a bus, but it doesn't have any meaning.
no, I very much agree with you.
Yeah. So,
And we'll get along. I have 2 art degrees.
Oh, cool. Very good.
so, anyhow, but again, and this is another thing, we do not do a lot of museuming as a group. There are museums along the way that I recommend to people if they want to peel off and whatnot, because it's very hard to take 14 people through a museum. People go at different paces, then somebody wants to stay, 3 people want to leave, 2 people didn't even want to be there. So that's the kind of stuff that on, free afternoons and whatnot, it's probably better to go and do that, or to stay after
And
and,
you can tell me all the little cool museums,
yes.
art shops.
Yes, there are definitely some cool out of the
Those
way
would be the much better, more interesting ones.
good. Well, that was good to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, one thing that we didn't touch on is the roommate situation. Did you want to talk about
Oh,
that?
yes. So for those of you who might not know this, and I don't think I realized it when I went to, it was in Paris like a few years ago. If you have twin beds, you say you have bed, we always want to have 2 beds in a room if you're sharing with somebody. But in Europe, a lot of times they do is just take a king bed and just separate them. I mean, maybe, this much, and then you have your own sheets and everything, but you're very close to the other person. Is that what you wanted me to say?
Well, no,
Oh.
what I meant was just that if you don't want to go with a friend and you don't want to, pay a single supplement, we will, arrange a very nice roommate for you. And, I've roomed with several different people on the trips, and it's great. It's fine. Jeannie and I roomed together
Yes,
too.
we did. That was so fun. When we
Couple of them.
overbooked that time, we had so many bookings, we forgot to get ourselves a room. And we stayed up. So yes, we will get you a roommate, and we've had great luck with people. Again, I think I was saying at the beginning of there's the sense of people being like-minded, and they're at this age where they're wanting to make sure they keep going and keep exploring. That we've had such good luck matching up roommates. I can't even tell you, like I just came back from the beach in Mexico, and I put 2 people together, and they just loved each other. They're just like, oh my God. And many people thought that they knew each other before because it was so instant, their camaraderie. So yes, we've had really good luck with that. And so let us know when you sign up, if you sign up for double, you don't have to already have somebody in mind. We can find you somebody, you can talk to them beforehand. Yeah, Vanessa says the magic of Next Tribe. You are so sweet, Vanessa. Vanessa does some guiding for us, like to Italy. So, and you and your mom are both coming for sure. Yes, you've already signed up, Vanessa?
Yeah, we were going to Santa Fe, and one day over lunch, we saw the Paris, and she's like, well, an expletive, Santa Fe, let's go to Paris. And I'm like, because she knows Paris, she's been many times, but she loves Paris. And I've been once and I had a bad experience, but as my mom says, I was in the right place with the wrong face. So
Oh, that's
I was
interesting.
just with my now ex-husband.
Aha.
It just wasn't a good time.
We've got to replace that with great
I
memories.
know, so I want to make some fun memories, which I know I'll do next time.
And Ellen, I can't remember if you've met Vanessa and her mother
No.
Gloria before. Fabulous duo. I mean, you guys just rock, the two of them. And as you can tell, they're from the UK. But
As I said, we've had a couple of sister groups, and we've had several sort of lifelong best friends who've come together, and which is very, very nice too.
and we've had lifelong best friends made. I mean, I feel like Lucy and Melanie Angerman now they're are best two. So anyway, if there's not any other questions right now, we're going to sign off. Vicky, when you sign up, Bren and Marcy will just sign up normally, and then they'll deduct your 400 off of your balance due. Because don't forget, guys, we do have monthly payments to make it a little easier for you to make this more accessible financially. So no interest, whatever. But we'll take it off your balance, Vicky.
Thank you.
And I hope. Oh yeah, Nan, are you raising your
Just
hand?
real quick, if we sign up, I know there's a date that somehow if I change my mind, we can back out. So
Yeah, 2
when-
months before. Your deposit is non-refundable, but
right.
deferrable for a year. But if you so up until 60 days before, if you were to change your mind, which why would you?
I
And
know.
then you can yes, you can either get that money back or
Oh, but
Right
so
about-
like I'm signed up for the Asheville trip. I'll
yes,
see
I'm
you
going to
in a
meet
month.
you soon. I'm going to meet you
But
soon.
so if something happened and it wasn't covered by my insurance, I get credit for a year.
Only if it's with before 60 days.
Oh, okay. So I'm
If
past
it's
the
in
window.
the 60-day window, we cannot give you a
Yeah,
refund.
you can't do that.
And that's why we're requiring
Travel insurance.
international trips. We're requiring travel insurance. And Vicky, I hope you can say that your travel insurance helped you and with your thing last September. So-
Yes, it all worked out great. I got credit with the airlines and then the travel insurance paid for it. So, I mean, as disappointed as I was, there wasn't any financial repercussions.
That's great. Yes, and we do have Bren, can you find our link for the insurance? Colleen's asking about a travel insurance company. We like Wanderwell.
Yep,
We
I'll
have-
send that out. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, we like Wanderwell. We had
That was a good thing.
seminar. Yeah, you were there? Were you at the
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, fabulous. I mean, it helped so much. Travel insurance can be so confusing, but we had these executives from Wanderwell talk to us about what to look for and why travel insurance gets a bad rap. It's because a lot of times we didn't notice something, and so they're giving us an alert of like what to look for and to make sure that we get the right kind of coverage. So we don't have that. We can't keep that. I was going to say I would love to share that Zoom recording with you, but they said we can't keep sharing it because travel insurance changes all the time. They don't want to be held to it. that's those things after, if things in the business change. So, but anyway, but we loved Wanderwell. So, Bren is going to send a link, put a link in the chat for Wanderwell, and,
Right
and
here.
then we'll, that was a good question. So, everyone see it there? Go wanderwell.com. And is that the one that, and it links to us, right? Is that the one that we use that? Yeah, that we've in a partnership together. So, we're very comfortable recommending them. And they have a great helpline if you know, to have questions like, you know, just these basic questions like, am I covered for this? Or how does this all work? You know, they have a good helpline where you can actually get some real answers. So highly recommend if you're that way.
You know, one thing that I wasn't certain of is there's travel insurance that if the trip if you have to cancel for some reason, you're refunded. And then there's also the, you know, if you become sick. Now, if you have, you know, some
On
people's,
the trip.
if you become sick on the trip, there's also coverage for that.
Yes, and so definitely ask about that, that whole, they covered that, but their policies do both, from what I remember. Bren, were you on that call? I just can't remember now, but they address that, and they will definitely be able to address it if you have questions about the pre-trip coverage and the coverage you have if you get sick on the trip.
Oh, and Social Security does not, I mean, like Medicare won't pay outside the continental United States.
Right, that's
So
why,
it's
yeah. That's one of
worth-
the reasons. And actually, the same trip that the Vicky, we lost, Vicky couldn't go on, somebody on that trip got COVID on the trip, and she had to leave, and she had coverage and she was taken care of. So, so yeah, it's important.
I just wanted to make one other observation, which is, you know, there's so many reasons why, yes, obviously you can do a trip like this by yourself, but there's the camaraderie, there's the just, you know, having all these lively people to have lunch and dinner and breakfast with and whatnot. But there's also, on the first full day last time, somebody lost her phone on a bus. And so that afternoon, Lucy went with her to the Apple store and helped her get a new phone. So it's, if anything goes wrong, you're not on your own. You've got, you know, the hive mind of everybody to, you know, and everybody was helping. And so that's worth a lot to feel like, you know, if you're somewhere and anything goes wrong, there are going to be people there who are going to help you and be in it with you.
I
So-
love that. And that's just, it's because you have a huge heart, Ellen.
Well, that was Lucy who went to the Apple
But I
store.
know, but you were involved too. So anyway. Oh, wait, if I arrive early, is there any info about how to use public transit? We can, blah, blah.
Well, I'll tell you the single most brilliant, fabulous thing that has happened in the modern world is this will give you travel directions anywhere.
And it also give which buses to take and so forth, right?
And metros and you know, for those of you who sign up, we will have a kind of a meet and greet, maybe, I don't know, what is it, generally like a month before?
A month before, yeah.
And we'll talk about that G7 app and which again, you can use like an Uber. You can call it and it picks you up and it takes you and you don't have to have any money on you. And you know, these are just the world is just a much more easily navigable place than it used to be.
Yes, and we will also have all of you have WhatsApp, and that's going to be your method of communicating. Like Ellen was saying, that you know you decide that you want to stay longer at this shop or something, you can text her, and you know what I say to people about this, I believe you're all grown-ass women, and so I'm going to trust you to know what you need to know and to be able to get to somewhere if you needed to, if all else fails, you know, G7 or whatever. But do you know what I'm saying? That we're not making you go in lockstep with us at every every corner. And one reason we can do that is people are still are connected through their WhatsApp on their phone. That really helps a lot. So
And, on this last trip, we had one woman who she was just somebody who gets lost a lot. And so Lucy said to her on the first day, why don't I track you on my phone? She's like, oh my God, that would be so amazing. And so that's what Lucy did. Lucy just tracked her so that if she did, just like going in the neighborhood to go to Monoprix or something. She took a wrong turn and got lost, and no worries. We got her right back. And
that
so
is so cool. I forgot that. And one thing I did make a slide for, which next time I will, is all about Monoprix.
oh yeah, so Monoprix very, very briefly is like a French Target that died and went to heaven. That's what I say about it. And there's one very near the hotel. And we go on the first day on our way back to the hotel. And it's where if you want to get French, some deodorant or some lotion for your room, or you forgot to bring enough socks, or you want to buy some pajamas, or you want crackers or tea bags although they give you tea and coffee for your room here, but it's just a terrific asset.
And I bought a black linen dress there. I still wear that after like what, 5 years. So you can see, Ellen, it's just I love that you're down to earth. You appreciate the beautiful things, but they're down to earth. The Monoprix, we all would be like, every time we saw a Monoprix, we'd be like, Monoprix. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, as you can tell, and I hope you'll sign up. And I just thank you so much for coming and spending the time with us this evening. And be in touch with Brent or Marcy with other questions. Okay. Thanks to all of you. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Ellen.